Ermy Pedata from thelanguagerose.com, and you are in the right place if you want to learn Italian using creativity, art and play. And today I have a special interview for you. It's an interview I had with the Town Crier of Chester, and he's going to share with us how he went from knowing zero Italian to do a whole proclamation in Italian. You'll see that during the interview it's quite windy, quite sunny. I am always with my eyes almost closed. However, I do hope that this interview will inspire you to learn more Italian, and more importantly, to link it to something that you like and to your passions. Let's get started. A couple months ago, I believe you reached out to me because you organized a tournament of Town Criers, right?
Yeah, I've organised 4 tournaments of Town Criers here in Chester, and we get Town Criers from all over the world. From Europe, of course, we get them from England, Wales and Scotland, but we also get them from France, Germany, Belgium and the Netherlands.
And you were specifically looking for a Town Crier from Italy?
From Italy, because I've seen on YouTube that sometimes there is a person, I think they call the banditore, that takes part in festivals.
Yes.
But I couldn't tell whether they were just doing that just for the festival or whether they were genuinely Town Criers.
Yes. And then, to be quite honest with you, I didn't even know that we have banditori in Italy. But apparently I did some research and there was one. David was trying to get in touch with him because he wanted him to be part of the tournament. And so I helped him to reach out to him, and that's how we met. However, a couple of months later, I decided to reach out to him and ask him, hey, I am going full-time in my business. We could do a project just to spread the word. Have you got any idea in mind? And what did you think to do?
Well, I thought it was a perfect opportunity to help you, and also when I have tour groups coming, sometimes I have whole tour groups of students from Italy, and it would be great if I could learn to make an announcement, or a proclamation as we call it, in Italian.
Yes, and I thought this was a great idea. So as we had really short time, we decided to focus on one Italian skill, and in David's case, what's the best skill for a Town Crier? Pronunciation in Italian, right? So I helped David to translate his proclamation in Italian, and then I coach him to pronounce, to read his proclamation in Italian. And how do you feel it went?
Well, let's talk about the process. It's quite a big thing to go from knowing no Italian, except for perhaps limoncello, right the way through to making an announcement in public with an audience.
Yes.
So it was very important for me to have somebody who would not only coach me, but would do it in a way that was supportive and encouraging, and you were brilliant about that.
Oh, thank you.
And if there was any sections of the speech that I was struggling with, you would take that little section and speak it to me on tape or slowly, so I could really get my ears around it. So, Medway. That's a hard word, Medway. That's very hard, Medway. Medway.
You said it right.
Il più grande anfiteatro romano mai scoperto in Gran Bretagna.
And then the big day came. And so what happened?
Well, the big day came, and I did it, and you were so encouraging, and yes, it felt good.
And to be quite honest with you, I felt goosebumps when you did it because you were great.
Well, you can spend a long time sitting on your own sofa practicing it, but it's totally different to do it at Town Crier volume in a public square.
Yes.
So if you hadn't been supportive and encouraging, I wouldn't have been ready for that step. So you told me when I was ready, and I trusted you and went for it.
Molte persone di diversa cultura ci hanno aiutato a costruire Chester. I Romani ci hanno regalato l'anfiteatro. I Normanni ci hanno dato il castello. I Tudor ci hanno dato Stanley Palace. I Vittoriani ci hanno regalato l'orologio a Eastgate. I Americani ci hanno dato McDonald's.
I liked how people also reacted, even though the speech was in Italian. They were still laughing, and because
obviously it was a translation of your English speech. So even though, you know, they knew the translation because you before had done the English one, and so then the Italian, so they could see what was like the link, and so they could laugh at the jokes. What did you enjoy most of this process?
I think I enjoyed just the sound of another language on my lips. And yes, I am going to repeat myself, but what I enjoyed was being supported and encouraged, because you said I was ready to do it publicly, but I only felt ready after you told me I was ready.
Yeah, sometimes we need that person like outside.
Exactly.
That say, yes, I agree. And I have to say, you've been very conscientious, because throughout the speech, at the end, you decided to redo one part. If you listen to the speech, there are some tiny, very tiny mistakes. However, I do think that those are important as well, because it shows that even though someone sometimes can make some mistakes, they don't impede communication. When David did his speech, there was like also the tension, or you know, all the factors that contribute, right, to what's happening. And so sometimes people do make mistakes, but it's okay. And however, David, what he did, he was aware and he decided to redo a tiny bit at the end. I want to redo this one because I feel that I could do better, and that's great too. So I think the most important lesson from this is, you know, to be okay to make mistakes, even though you know, there are mistakes, but as long as you communicate, it's fine. And also it's great that you want to improve like you did.
Yeah. And I know you continue to learn languages yourself. You're learning Japanese, I gather, at the moment.
Yes.
And I think, I'm sure you're kind by nature and encouraging by nature, but also I think perhaps the fact that you're always a learner keeps you in empathy with learners. You know what it's like to be learning a language.
I think it's true, and this is also one of the reasons why I do it, because I don't want to forget what being a learner is.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we tend to forget to, especially me, I don't have a good memory. We tend to forget too often what it's like to start from zero. And so if we forget that, then we cannot help the person because we cannot empathize with them. So it's true. Yeah, I do like to be in the learner shoes.
Well, it clearly works, because you were very empathetic. The fact that I had this very specific experience of proclaiming, well, it was 125 words probably in Italian. That's only a very small experience, but because it was such fun and so enjoyable, that's a big encouragement for me to go forward and learn some more Italian.
Yeah, great. And I also think that this comes from the fact that you linked it to something that you already do. So it's like you stuck on a skill that you already have and that you're passionate about.
Right.
And so that probably is giving you more motivation.
Yep. And the fact that you're going to do a public performance is very motivating. Much more motivating than if I was going to have a holiday in Italy in 6 months' time. Might think, well, I'll do my practice next week. But in this situation, the pressure was on, positive pressure, so I needed to put the work in to get it learnt.
Yes, and it does take courage as well, right? But the courage is kind of pushes you through. Sometimes you may be afraid, you know, but sometimes if you focus on what's like beyond the fear, you push through it, and then, you know, some beautiful thing can come from it. So I think that was your case.
And I have one last thing to say to you.
Yes.
Grazie!
Prego!
And now, what about you? What's the one thing that you really, really like that you can link to your Italian learning? Let me know in the comments below. When you have something that you really enjoy that you can link to your Italian learning, or to any language you're learning really, you will feel much more motivated, and consequently you will make much more progress. David's experience was a really good example of this. So start today, link Italian to something that you love, and let me know how it goes. This was Ermy Pedata from thelanguageverse.com, and I'm always here to remind you to always have a fun Italian learning. Ciao!